here at the Independence Reformed Bible Church, we do allow for questions following the service. As we get started, just something else for you to think about. In Exodus 5 and verse 1, the first thing that Moses says to Pharaoh, or early on, the first thing they want to do is he says to Pharaoh, let these people go, they have a feast to me in the wilderness. Just see the connection between feasting, eating, and fellowship. A feast, God says, to me in the wilderness. This idea of eating, feasting, is very connected. It's connected through fellowship with God and with each other throughout the Scriptures in a Christian context. It's throughout Old Testament and New Testament. We should do it more, not less. Who has the first question? Did I see a question there, Noah? Okay.
Hi, hello.
Yes. No, we're good.
I went to a seminar yesterday down in Philadelphia, and one of the sessions was on the gifts of the Spirit. And it was brought out that the gifts of the Spirit were meant to edify the body. And then I'm thinking, okay, so if we're using our gifts to edify the body, then people would be coming into the church. But what I'm finding is most of the churches are saying, oh, go out and, do these things for other people who are not Christian, so I'm wondering, where is there like a balance? And I know about the Good Samaritan and all, but I'm wondering if we aren't like cheating our fellow Christians and not doing more for each other.
I think I mentioned maybe a week or two ago Dr. Peter Hammond, who addressed this in the Darfur situation. I don't remember we talking about that or not. Darfur, of course, is a section of, I believe, the Sudan, wherein there's starvation, disease going on there. And there were believers there who've been chased off by the Muslims. And once the northern Muslims, if you will, chased off the Christians, killed them, persecuted them, chased them off, they then turned on their African Muslims. Because if you know much about Islam, the Arabic Muslims do not like the black Muslims. And so then what happened was, when that started to happen, then it began to get public. When Christians are being killed, it doesn't really matter that much. But when other people are getting killed, then the UN, of course, has to get involved and save lives, of course, which is what they do, of course, right? And what Dr. Peter Hammond said, forgive me if I've mentioned this before, I believe I have, but what he said was, and this sounds a little harsh, but he's exactly correct. He said, I wouldn't give a dime. He said, they chased off the Christians that were helping them. He said, I wouldn't give a dime to stop the Muslims from killing each other, as long as there's a Christian hurting anywhere. Anywhere in the world. I'm not giving them a dime. I want to help the Christians first. Now, we're going to get into the spiritual gifts thing, Marilyn, here real soon. Sooner than what I want. We just got head coverings, now we're going to do spiritual gifts. Hey, it's in the Bible. We got to do it. It's there for a reason. One of the things we're going to look at there is it seemed like they were showing off with their spiritual gifts and showing everybody how spiritual they were because I have this gift, which Paul was outraged at, quite frankly. He spends a lot of time getting upset here. Certainly, charity does begin with the house of God. Doesn't end there, but it certainly does begin there. And as a church, it would be a horrific thing, it seems to me, honestly. I mean, and we all have at work, they come around handing out, give to the United Way, all these kinds of different things you're supposed to give to. And I don't, quite frankly. I won't do it. Haven't gotten too much trouble for it. But I would never give to these other so-called people that are doing all these good things, cleaning up parks where the people that live in the park won't clean it up, but we go and we pick it up for them. And you go back next year, it'll be just as junky as it was this year. And this is supposed to be some charity thing. And I believe it's really wrong to give to that kind of stuff, especially if you have anyone in your own church who's hurting in any way, who could use your assistance. Don't do it. The ministry of charity is the church and the family, and start there for sure. And there are folks that, and this is I didn't mean to really go here, but for once I just wish these charity people that are getting to give these millions of dollars to these different organizations, for once I just wish they would say, you know what the real problem is here? We've gotten away from God, His Word, and the family. We've despised the family, and look at but they'll never say that. They want to trash the family, ignore the family, and let's still throw money at it. And it's a complete disaster. A lot more to be said about that, but I'll take arguments against what I just said. I will, but I can't believe we should throw money at people who are ignoring God and His Word at any point while people we know are hurting and need help. Ever. Frankly, ever. Who else has a question? I have one.
Having been in church circles for a while, I've noticed that there are a lot of different types of churches, kinds of churches that they separate from other churches in their local area, sometimes for doctrinal reasons, which I think may be legitimate.
Sure.
That's what Paul was talking about when he says, some among you, there has to be some factions among you so that the genuine ones can be identified. But some of those divisions are not necessarily over doctrine. Perhaps not over a good reason at all, but it may be preferences in style or differences in culture from one class to another. Are those kinds of separations wrong?
Yeah.
Or are they acceptable?
Yeah, you know what, and I want to give an example of that, and there's a problem that has vexed the North American church, and that is we separate the white and the black churches. In North America, we do. When I went to Israel, 3.5 years ago now, Shaq? How long you guys been married? Yeah. I think it was Shaq, was it you or your dad I challenged about why is it that the Arabs and the Jews don't worship in the same church? For the most part, right? Christian Arabs worship separate from Christian Jews, right? And I said, what's with you guys? Right? What's the matter with you? And was it you or your dad I was talking to? Okay. And you remember what he came back with? It was with you. I mean, it might have been you or your dad. He came right back with, what's with you guys, the white and black churches? and it's a vexing problem for me. But we do know that in Ephesians, Paul says that there's no Jew, no Greek, no bond, no slave. There should not be a difference over this. And so now I know I'm speaking kind of Sid, I got to tell you, I'm sort of speaking theoretically here. I don't know how to fix this. There are cultural differences. They say, if you can't preach in a black church, get out of the preaching business. Everything you say is amen, and preach it, brother. And I heard one guy who was preaching one time, and he got stuck, and some lady started praying for him right in the middle of it. He said, "Help him, Lord, help him." I mean, I've told people, their worship style is so much different. I have said, this is my worship style like this. I'm sitting back like this. I'm not saying amen to much of anything. What are you saying, Pastor? Prove it. Yeah, I mean, it's just a different kind of a thing, and I do not know the answer to that. But I believe, based on Ephesians, I don't think it's acceptable. I don't think God is pleased that we have to separate white and black churches. I don't believe it. So I don't have an answer for you. And I tell you, I've been thinking about this for years, and I got nothing for this. I mean, okay, white and black, that's a difference. How about slave and free for them? That's more of a difference than what we have. I can't figure it out. Not much of an answer. Someday, maybe. Well, I certainly want to thank you for your kind attention here this morning.